was supposed to be an escape, a simple weekend camping trip by the beach. We had no idea that the night would end in terror. It was 1971, and I was in my late 20s, still living with my parents in Rose Hill, Mauritius. Life was simple, predictable, until the day my father came home with strangers, a South African couple. Travelers. They had been wandering the island with nothing but backpacks, a tent, and sleeping bags. My father, always the welcoming type, invited them to stay for a few days. At first glance, they seemed ordinary. The man had a thick blonde beard, his face full of warmth. His wife? She was kind too, but I can't recall her face. Even now, it bothers me. Mauritius was still safe back then, or so people like to believe. But independence had only been granted in 1968, and a violent civil conflict had shaken the country just months before. Tension still lingered in the air, like smoke after a fire. To welcome our guests, we planned a camping trip on the West Coast, a remote beach called Flick and Flack. Today, it's a tourist hub. Back then, it was wild, untouched. No roads, no hotels, just endless white sand, thick vegetation, and the deep, endless sea that we left on a Saturday morning, setting up camp near the shore. The couple were strong swimmers, diving into the waves, catching fish, crabs, even a few lobsters. The day passed in a golden haze, sunlight shimmering on water, the scent of grilled seafood filling the air, laughter drifting on the breeze. For a moment, it felt like paradise. But looking back, the silence before a storm could feel like peace too. None of us knew. None of us had any idea that we weren't alone. The night was perfect, almost too perfect. The kind of perfection that makes you feel a little uneasy, like something is waiting to go wrong. The sky was a vast canvas of stars, the air warm with the lingering heat of the day. The scent of the ocean mixed with the smoky aroma of grilled meat, chicken, beef, pork, and the fresh shrimp we had caught earlier. My dad was drunk, swaying slightly as he laughed, and the South African couple were clearly having a great time. The language barrier between us made conversation difficult, but we found ways to communicate, gestures, broken words, even drawing in the sand. Watching my father struggle through a sentence in his limited English was oddly entertaining. For a while, everything was peaceful. Too peaceful. Then we heard a sound that didn't belong, a faint, distant wailing. It was soft at first, almost fragile, like a woman crying somewhere far away. We all went quiet, listening. The sound wasn't constant. It would rise, then vanish, then return again, always just on the edge of hearing. My father, too drunk to care, waved it off. Maybe some kind of animal, someone muttered. But none of us had ever heard an animal sound like that. And then, movement. From the corner of my eye, something shifted, a figure, emerging from the sea. She was far away, maybe 30 or 40 meters, but there was no mistaking it. A woman. She walked straight out of the water, the waves sliding off her long, white dress as if the fabric refused to be soaked. Her hair, long, dark, tangled, clung to her back like wet vines. She didn't run. She didn't stumble. She just walked straight toward the trees in no hesitation. No sound. I tried to see her face, but the firelight didn't reach that far. All I could tell was that her hair was too long, her dress was too white, and the way she moved felt wrong. And then she was gone, swallowed by the darkness of the trees, and no footprints, no dripping water, just silence. We all stared at the spot where she had vanished, hearts pounding. The fire crackled beside us, casting dancing shadows on the sand. But suddenly, the warmth of the flames felt weak. Insignificant. I turned to my father. He was smiling slightly, lost in his drunken haze, as if what we had just seen was nothing more than a passing curiosity. But I knew better, and judging by the tense silence from the others, they knew it too. Slowly, I stood up. I needed to see where she went. Maybe there was a house hidden beyond the tree line. Maybe she was just some woman out for a night walk. Maybe I walked toward the sea, my feet sinking slightly into the damp sand. The air was heavier here, cooler, as if the ocean itself was holding its breath. I turned left, scanning the area where she had disappeared. Nothing. No house. No lights. Just dark trees shifting slightly in the wind. I swallowed hard. This wasn't normal that I turned back to the fire. Everyone was watching me. I don't see anything, I said, my voice quieter than I intended, and no one responded. Then we heard a sound so faint, so delicate, that at first I wasn't sure if it was real, crunched out a single step on dry leaves. Then another crunch. Something was moving in the darkness. Watching USM, my mother's voice broke the silence. So soft, I barely heard it. I don't like this, she whispered. I didn't either. The couple exchanged nervous glances, their drinks forgotten in their hands. The fire popped loudly, making us all flinch, and then whooshed, a violent flapping noise exploded from a nearby tree. Several somethings, had just taken flight. Birds? Bats? We couldn't tell. But the sudden movement shattered the night's stillness, sending a cold shock through my veins. Then from nowhere, thud. Something heavy fell on the beach right in front of us, 0.5. 6 meters away, we all froze. I stood up slowly, my breath shallow. What was that? I took a cautious step forward. Nothing was there, no rock, no branch, no object at all. But something had fallen, and we had all heard it. The night still looked beautiful. The stars still sparkled, the air still felt warm. But the feeling had changed. Something was here, waiting my father, too drunk to understand the shift in atmosphere, continued to sit, unfazed. But the rest of us, we were scared now, and we all knew it. The scream ripped through the night, shrill, agonizing, the kind of sound that shoots straight through your spine, turning your blood to ice. That we jumped to our feet. My heart slammed against my ribs. The fire crackled beside us, its warmth suddenly meaningless. My mother gasped, clutching my arm. The South African couple stood frozen, their drinks slipping from their hands. Forgotten in the sand, IT sounded close. Too close. My father, still hazy from the alcohol, furrowed his brows. What the hell was that? None of us answered. We were listening. The wind held its breath. And then, thump. Something hit the ground nearby. Hard, that we turned sharply. Nothing was there. But the sound had been real. Another thump. Then a rolling noise. My breath hitched as a coconut tumbled toward our feet. And another. And another. They weren't falling from trees. They were being thrown. That a cold dread slithered up my spine. The couple dropped everything. I could see it in their eyes. The same thought racing through my head. We needed to leave. And no more debating. No more trying to explain it away. We weren't welcome here. I turned to my mother. Start packing. She didn't argue. She just nodded. That we moved fast, shoving supplies into bags, yanking down the tent, tossing everything haphazardly into the car. The beach was no longer peaceful. The air felt heavy, suffocating. The wind had picked up, whistling through the trees like whispers. And then footsteps fast, running, sand shifting. Then silence. That I couldn't see anything. That I turned toward the trees, my pulse hammering. Someone was moving, watching us. More footsteps, but this time from the opposite direction. My father snapped sober in an instant. He might have been drunk before, but now he was just as terrified as the rest of us. The couple muttered to each other in quick, panicked whispers. I couldn't understand them, but I didn't need to. Fear was universal. I grabbed the hot metal barbecue grill, cursing as it burned my hands, and threw it into the trunk. We didn't have time to pack properly. We just stuffed everything in. The screams came again. This time from behind us, and they were getting closer. I didn't wait. I jumped into the driver's seat. Get in the car. Now. No one hesitated. Doors slammed shut. I gripped the wheel, knuckles white. That we were getting the hell out of here. I slammed the gas pedal. The tires spun in the sand, the car jerking forward before catching traction. Then I saw her, standing in the middle of the road. She was closer now, too close. 4 meters. Maybe 5. Long, dripping hair clung to her face, her white dress clinging to her thin frame. She didn't move. She didn't blink. She just stood there, staring. I couldn't breathe, and no one could. The car idled, trembling like it could feel our fear. Behind me, my mother whispered a prayer. The South African couple clutched each other, muttering in their language. Their voices were hushed, urgent. My father, now completely sober, muttered a curse under his breath. That we waited. She waited. Then banged out a loud impact against the back of the car, like something had slammed into us. We all whipped around. Nothing, just darkness. Just shadows shifting in the trees. My pulse pounded. I turned back to the road. She was gone. But before I could even process that, a shadow moved. And then she was beside me, right next to my window. That I screamed. Raw, primal fear ripped out of my throat. I felt my mother grab my shoulder. The South African woman shrieked. My father shouted something, but I couldn't hear him over the roaring terror in my head. Her face was just inches away, too close, but I couldn't see her features. Just darkness where her eyes should have been. My chest constricted. I slammed the gas pedal again. The car lurched forward. I T-stalled, and no. My hands shook. I twisted the key. The engine coughed, stuttered. She was still there, watching, waiting. I tried again. The engine roared to life. The tires kicked up sand, and then we shot forward. The car jolted violently as we hit the dirt road, bouncing over uneven ground. I kept my foot pinned to the pedal, hands gripping the wheel like a lifeline, and one spoke. We didn't dare look back. The road twisted, opening up to the main highway. And finally, we were out. We didn't stop until we reached town. The streetlights of Rose Hill flickered overhead, casting long shadows on the pavement. My hands ached from gripping the wheel so tight. My mother was still whispering prayers. The South African couple sat in silence, wide-eyed, pale. Then, the car shuddered. A sickening whine came from the engine. And just like that, the car died. The fan belt had snapped. The hood hissed, releasing plumes of steam into the night. Silence. And one moved, and one dared speak. We had made it this far, but it still felt like she was watching. Finally, my mother and the couple decided to walk home. It wasn't far, and they needed to get away from that damn car. My father and I stayed behind, waiting for a friend to come tow us back to home. We sat around the kitchen table, drinking strong coffee, hands still trembling. That's when my father's friend, the one who helped tow the car, looked at us and said, "You want to flick in flack at night?" We nodded. His face darkened. That place is haunted. And then he told us the stories. People had seen her before. The woman in white. Some had been lured into the ocean, never to return. Others had objects thrown at them. One woman, pregnant, had seen the ghost and lost her baby within hours. The doctors couldn't explain it. They said it was like something had drained the life from her wound. I felt cold all over. It wasn't just us. This had happened before. And then, the most terrifying part, she always walks from the sea to the cemetery. I stared at him. Cemetery? He nodded. There's an old one just across the road. Not too close to the beach, but close enough. My stomach dropped. That I had never noticed it before. Never even knew it was there. But it made sense. The wailing, the footsteps, the shadows in the trees. She wasn't just wandering. She was going home to... If you like this story, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon.